Welcome to the Full Moon Society Part 3. The moon had not yet risen, but the air was already thick with tension. The hunt had begun.
Evelyn, Lucas and Alara sat in the dimly lit hideout.
Maps spread across the table, their fingers tracing paths through the wilderness. They had one goal: find Varathis before the next full moon and stop the ritual that would free Kraedoth, the Devourer of the Vale. But before they could strike, they needed help. Alara exhaled, rolling up one of the maps. I'm going to find someone who might actually stand a chance against Varathis. Evelyn arched a brow. Who? Alara stood, tightening her coat around her. Her name is Isolde, an ancient witch as old as time itself. She was an ally of Eldritch. Lucas scoffed. Another witch? We really need more of them. Alara shot him a look. She is not like Varathis, and if she's anything like Eldritch, we need her. Lucas folded his arms. Eldritch is dead. Alara's expression darkened. I know. She turned towards the door. But Isolde might know something we don't. Alara and Isolde. A meeting of old magic. The journey to Isolde's domain was long, winding through ancient forests where the air felt heavy with the weight of forgotten magic. When Alara finally reached the ruined monastery that Isolde called home, she was met with an eerie silence, a whisper of wind, a flicker of movement. Then suddenly, "You've come looking for me, haven't you?" Alara spun, her eyes narrowing as a figure emerged from the mist. Isolde. Her dark robes shimmered with arcane energy, her silver hair cascading over her shoulders. She was neither young nor old, ageless, a being that had outlived civilizations. Alara dipped her head slightly. I need your help. Isolde smirked, stepping forward. And why would I help you? Because of Varathis. At the mention of the name, a flicker of something unreadable passed across Isolde's face. Alara pressed on. You were friends with Eldritch. He fought against her before. We need you to do the same. Silence, then a sigh. Eldritch is gone, Isolde murmured, her fingers tracing the hem of her robe. Destroyed by Synthras. But she trailed off, her golden eyes narrowing. I still feel him. Alara's breath hitched. What do you mean? Isolde turned her gaze upward, as if looking at something only she could see. His essence lingers. He should be nothing but ash, yet I sense him somewhere, somehow. Alara swallowed. If he's still out there. Isolde cut her off. If he is still out there, then the balance has been broken, and that means things are far worse than you think. Back at the hideout, you know, I've taken down my fair share of witches. Evelyn smirked. Oh, how many? Lucas grinned. Enough. He shrugged. They always think they have the upper hand. The moment they start chanting, boom, knocked out cold before they can finish their little spell. Evelyn chuckled. You do realise that Varathis isn't just some hedge witch, right? Lucas waved a hand dismissively. Yeah, but it's all the same. Hit them fast. Hit them hard. I mean, come on. What's a little dark magic against a werewolf's claws? Evelyn rolled her eyes. You really don't know when to quit, do you? Lucas winked. Never. A moment of silence stretched between them. Do you really think we can stop her? Lucas's smirk faltered. He looked at her, uncharacteristically thoughtful. Honestly, I don't know. But we've got an Alpha Prime, a keeper of balance somewhere out there, and now, apparently, an ancient witch on our side. If we don't have a shot, No one does. Evelyn exhaled. Then we better not screw this up. Lucas grinned. Exactly. The hunt begins. As the night deepened, Elara returned with Isolde at her side. The ancient witch regarded Evelyn and Lucas with quiet curiosity before speaking. Varathis is moving. She won't wait until the next full moon to strike. Elara nodded. Then neither will we. Evelyn exchanged a glance with Lucas. This was it. The beginning of the final hunt. And they would not fail. The chamber pulsed with dark energy. Tendrils of shadow slithering across the stone floor like the living things. The veil between worlds was weakening, the boundary fraying at the edges. The air hummed with power. Kraedoth was stirring. Varathis stood at the centre of the summoning circle, her robes billowing as she raised her hands to the unseen forces that trembled at her command. There had been no sacrifice, and yet she had found another way, a loophole in the fabric of reality. The sigils carved into the stone floor glowed with a deep crimson light, flickering as if caught between existence and oblivion. The shadows beyond the veil stretched, twisting, reaching, not yet able to cross, but closer than they had been in centuries. A deep, rumbling growl echoed through the void, a sound that did not belong in this world. The chamber walls quivered. Varathis smiled, her voice a hushed whisper. You are nearly here, my love. But she needed more. The veil had not yet shattered. She could feel Kraedoth's fury, but it was not enough to bring him through. She needed an ally, someone who could help finish what she had started, and she was not alone. A figure stood in the shadows, watching. His face was hidden beneath the heavy folds of a dark robe, his presence unnervingly calm. He did not kneel before her. He did not tremble. He did not worship. You need more than whispered words and fading magic, the man said, his voice steady, unshaken. You are strong, Varathis, but strength alone does not tear the veil. You lack the final push. Varathis turned, eyes narrowing. And you believe you can provide it? The man did not answer immediately. Instead, he stepped forward, just enough for the dim torchlight to touch the lower half of his face. His mouth curled into something between amusement and calculation. That depends. Varathis tilted her head, her voice smooth but commanding. If you have come to offer terms, do not mistake my dominance for negotiation. The man chuckled softly, unimpressed. I am not here to bargain, nor am I here to kneel. I care nothing for your gods or your lover beyond the veil. I am here for one reason. He stepped even closer, the air around him crackling with something unseen, something unnatural. If Kraedoth is truly the Devourer you claim he is, if his return will bring the destruction you so desperately desire, then I will help you. Varathis studied him carefully. There was no fear in this man, no blind devotion, no desperate desire for power. He was not like her followers. He was something else entirely. She smiled. Then we have much to discuss. From the darkness behind her, Kraedoth stirred once more. The hideout was dimly lit, the scent of burning wood and herbs filling the air. Elara and Isolde had returned, their expressions grim, their energy tense. Lucas sat sprawled in a chair, idly flipping a dagger between his fingers, while Evelyn leaned against the table, deep in thought. Isolde stepped into the centre of the room, her golden eyes narrowing. The veil is tearing faster than I expected. I can feel it unravelling, but there is another hand in play. Elara frowned. Another hand? Isolde exhaled slowly. Not just Varathis. There is another presence, one of death itself. Varathis has a powerful ally. This is no longer just about the veil. Something darker is at work here. Lucas stretched, cracking his knuckles. Then let's smash in there and kick some butt. Elara gave him a flat look. Through the front door? Lucas blinked. Oh, yeah, that might be a problem. Isolde smirked faintly. Hold off. Running in blind would be a mistake. We need to be stealthy. Strike where they least expect us. Rushing in would give Varathis exactly what she wants. If her ally is as powerful as I suspect, we must play this carefully. Elara nodded. So what's the plan? Isolde's gaze darkened as she traced a rune into the table. First, we need information. I have a way to locate Varathis' stronghold without alerting her. But once we find it, we don't charge in. We infiltrate. We move like shadows. Brute force will get us all killed. Lucas sighed. Fine. But if we do get caught, then I get to smash some heads. Isolde chuckled. I suppose I can't stop you. A private conversation. Later that night, as the others rested, Evelyn sat near the fireplace sharpening a blade. Isolde approached quietly, watching her for a moment before speaking. You've been quiet. Evelyn glanced up. Just thinking. Isolde nodded, sitting beside her. You want to know about Eldritch?
Evelyn hesitated,
then nodded. I keep hearing his name. Everyone talks about how powerful he was, but I don't know who he really was. Isolde sighed, staring into the fire. Eldritch was more than powerful. He was an elder, a being who had lived for centuries, one of the strongest of his kind. He wielded magic that even witches like me respected. He was feared, but also revered.
Evelyn's brow furrowed. And Cithrus killed him?
Isolde's eyes darkened. Yes, but not easily. Eldritch fought until the end. I was not there when it happened, but I felt it. It was as if a force had been ripped from the world. Even now, I still sense something of him lingering. That is why I am cautious. If there is even a fragment of his essence left, then something is unfinished. Evelyn shivered slightly. Do you think he's really gone? Isolde turned to her, her gaze unreadable. He should be gone, but I can feel him, as if he has come back somehow. But that is impossible. Her expression darkened. Not without shifting the balance, and he would never allow that. Evelyn frowned. He? Isolde shook her head. Never mind. Get some rest, Evelyn. We have much to do. The night of the full moon had arrived. The team stood at the ready, the weight of the coming battle pressing upon them like an unseen force. The plan had been prepared, their roles set. Now all that remained was the hunt. Elara, her piercing gaze scanning the others. We are ready. When the moon is full, we move. Lysanor is with us. Isolde, ever the voice of strategy, stepped forward. Remember the plan. We follow it, or we lose. Her golden eyes locked onto each of them, making sure they understood. This was not a battle for glory. It was a mission for survival. As the sun set, the day passed in careful preparation, checking weapons, refining their approach, setting contingency points. There was no room for error. Then the moon rose, its silver glow bathing the world in an ethereal light. It was time. Through the forest, the hunt begins. 3 powerful werewolves tore through the dense forest. their massive forms moving with breathtaking speed and silent precision. Their fur shimmered under the moonlight, muscles coiling with raw primal energy. The forest floor trembled beneath their heavy footfalls, leaves and branches scattering as they raced forward. Their path was clear. Varathis' stronghold lay ahead. The scent of dark magic thickened as they neared, a putrid stench of decay and old power. It clung to the trees, whispering through the wind. Still, they pressed forward. They were warriors. They were Lysanor's children. When they arrived at the stronghold, Isolde was already there. Standing tall, her robes barely moving in the midnight breeze, she turned to them. They could not speak in their lichen forms, but they did not need words. Isolde simply nodded. "Let's go." The stronghold. The false silence. They moved in with stealth, just as planned. There was no resistance, no guards, no traps, nothing. The hallways were eerily quiet, the air thick with something unseen. It was wrong, too easy, too perfect. Then they reached the altar, and there she stood, Varathis, her dark robes draped around her like liquid shadow, her emerald eyes gleaming with expectation. She smiled, a knowing, wicked grin, as if she had been waiting for them all along. She turned her gaze to Isolde. "You are a traitor to your own kind." Isolde stepped forward, unwavering. "You know releasing Kraedoth means destruction for thousands. I cannot let this be." Varathis sighed, shaking her head. "You cannot stop me. You have brought the very thing I need to free him." She turned her attention towards the 3 werewolves, her smile widening. "When one of your mutts dies, Kraedoth will be free." Isolde's voice hardened. "You are outnumbered and outmatched. Give it up or perish." Varathis laughed, a deep chilling sound that echoed in the chamber, a laugh of certainty. As the werewolves coiled for attack, ready to strike, Varathis stepped back. Then, from the shadows, a figure emerged. His face was hidden beneath a deep hood, his presence cold and calculated. He did not tremble before them. He did not cower. He stepped forward with the confidence of one who had walked alongside death itself. He spoke, his voice laced with something unnatural. "Oh, one of you, or all of you must die. It matters little." His hand rose slowly, and as it did, the very earth cracked. A sound like bones grinding against stone filled the air. A foul, rotting stench spread across the room as the ground split open. Undead hands, rotting, bony, gnarled, clawed their way up from the abyss. Then bodies followed, dragging themselves free, their hollow eyes burning with unnatural hunger. An army of the dead had risen. They did not hesitate. The undead rushed forward, attacking the lichens. The battle begins. The 3 werewolves did not falter. They lunged forward, their claws tearing through the first wave of undead like paper. Bodies were shredded, skulls crushed beneath their powerful jaws. The sound of snapping bones echoed through the chamber. But it wasn't enough. For every undead that fell, another took its place, and another, and another. An endless wave of rotting warriors, all clawing, biting, dragging them down. The wolves fought savagely, but the numbers were overwhelming. For the first time, the tide of battle began to shift. They were being surrounded, overwhelmed, outnumbered, and Varathis only smiled. The battle raged, but it was no longer a battle. It was a slow, crushing defeat. The werewolves were drowning in the dead. The sheer weight of the reanimated corpses had overwhelmed them, their massive forms pinned beneath an unrelenting tide of clawing, decayed hands. Every thrash, every snarl, every desperate attempt to rise was met with more bodies piling upon them. Isolde stood in the far corner of the chamber, her magic defences flickering, the shimmering shield around her cracking under the relentless assault. The runes she had cast burned with unstable energy, barely holding back the mass of undead trying to reach her. She would not last much longer. A cold, amused chuckle echoed through the chamber. The strange figure stepped forward. He moved with grace, his black boots tapping softly against the stone floor. His long, tailored coat swayed with each step, the deep red silk of his vest catching the dim torchlight. A fine gentleman, charming and composed, yet something in his presence reeked of decay. His golden blonde hair fell neatly around his sharp, aristocratic features. A smirk played at his lips, a gloved hand adjusting the cuffs of his immaculate sleeves. "Well now," he mused, his voice rich and smooth, like an actor preparing for a grand performance. "I do hate unnecessary bloodshed, but you must understand. We do not want you dead. Not yet." His eyes, a piercing ice blue, locked onto the werewolves struggling beneath the mass of corpses. He tilted his head, examining them like a scientist inspecting a rare specimen. "You see," he continued, his voice laced with amusement, "we need the beating heart of a lichen, not a dead one, a living one." With a slow, deliberate wave of his hand, the undead obeyed. The rotting bodies shifted, the mass of corpses parting like puppets on invisible strings. The dead dragged Lucas from the pile, his massive, wolfen form still thrashing, snarling, but unable to break free. His limbs were held down by skeletal hands, his movements restrained by unnatural strength. Even with all his power, he could not escape. The strange man's smirk widened. "Ah, this one has the strongest heart. I do believe we should try him first." Varathis stepped forward, her emerald eyes burning with triumph. "Yes, yes, soon my love will be free." She raised her hands, magic swirling around her fingers, the ritual beginning, and Lucas, still trapped, let out a deafening, defiant roar. The air in the chamber pulsed with dark energy. The ritual was nearly complete. The veil between worlds trembled, stretched thin as the magic of the altar carved through reality. The scent of decay, old power, and death itself filled the cavernous hall. The werewolves remained trapped, pinned beneath endless waves of the undead. Isolde's magic shield flickered weakly, barely holding off the relentless assault, and at the centre of it all stood Varathis and Stephen Lestat, the two dark forces who had set this nightmare in motion. And then Varathis made a mistake. She raised her arms, eyes burning with triumph, and spoke the truth that shattered the uneasy alliance. "Yes, soon Kraedoth will rise. All will be devoured. Their flesh, their souls, their very essence, their existence will be erased, swallowed by the veil of darkness." A flicker of something crossed Lestat's face, a small, almost imperceptible twitch of his brow, a shift in his stance, a pause. "The veil?" His voice, usually laced with amusement, now carried something else, cold calculation. Varathis, caught up in the moment, grinned, basking in the power surging through her. "Yes, they will not pass into an afterlife. They will not serve gods or men. Not even their corpses will remain. They will become nothing." Lestat's golden eyebrows lifted slightly. his gloved hand still clasped neatly behind his back. His smirk was gone. Nothing? Varathis, blinded by arrogance, did not notice his shift in tone. Nothing. Their souls will be devoured, lost in the abyss forever. No death, no rebirth, just eternal oblivion. The silence that followed was more deafening than the battle raging around them. Lestat's piercing blue eyes darkened. You never mentioned that. His voice was now ice, devoid of its usual charm. He took a step back, distancing himself from the altar. Varathis turned to face him, confused by his sudden change in demeanour. Does it matter? Death is death. The result is the same. Lestat laughed softly, but there was no humour in it, only a slow, growing realisation of betrayal. He turned his gaze to the writhing bodies of the undead, his army, the ones who served him, the ones who would soon be lost to the Veil if Kraedoth was freed. His expression sharpened, voice dangerously low. No, Varathis, the result is not the same. She scoffed. What does it matter to you? Lestat's smirk returned, but now it was cold, dangerous. It matters because I was under the impression that death was a currency, that each life taken would serve a purpose, that they would either be mine or delivered to Necros as an offering. He gestured at the dead surrounding them. These creatures, they serve me. This battlefield, it's mine. But you intend to erase everything. That does not serve my interests, nor Necros. Varathis's grin began to fade. You still serve that pathetic god? Lestat chuckled, brushing the invisible dust from his sleeve. Necros may be pathetic to you, but he understands order. Death is not destruction, it is transition. Your Kraedoth is not a god of power. His smirk twisted. He is a beast, an animal that consumes blindly. If he is released, he does not leave the dead behind. He does not build an empire of corpses for me to rule. He turned fully now, walking away from the altar. Which means you have just lost your most valuable ally. Varathis' eyes widened in fury. You dare turn your back on me? Lestat exhaled dramatically. You misunderstand, dear Varathis. I was never truly on your side. I was only ever on mine. He turned his head slightly, his smirk darkening. And now I find myself disinterested in your little apocalypse. He raised his hand, and for the first time since the battle had begun, his undead hesitated. The creatures that had been overwhelming the werewolves staggered, frozen between two masters. Varathis hissed, You cannot stop this. The ritual is almost complete. Kraedoth is coming. Lestat let out a long theatrical sigh. Then you can deal with it yourself. With a single wave of his hand, the undead turned, but not on the werewolves. They turned on Varathis's cultists. The chamber erupted into chaos. The cultists screamed as the dead turned against them, claws raking across flesh, bones cracking. Varathis screeched in rage, throwing her hands out, blasting arcane energy towards Lestat. But he was already gone, melting into the shadows like a ghost. As the ritual altar pulsed violently and the balance of power in the chamber shifted, one thing was clear. Varathis was alone now, and the werewolves, freed from the onslaught of undead, were coming for her. The three werewolves lunged, fangs bared, claws extended, a force of raw primal fury. But as they struck, their attacks were met with an invisible wall, Varathis's shield. Their claws scraped against its surface, but it did not break. Blow after blow rained down, yet the barrier remained intact, shimmering with dark energy. Varathis grinned, her confidence returning. "Fools! You cannot harm me! You cannot stop what is coming!" she shrieked. The werewolves snarled in frustration, circling her like predators sensing weakness. And then the shield flickered. A crack splintered across its surface like glass under strain. Isolde stood at the edge of the battlefield, her hands raised, her golden eyes burning with arcane light. She was collapsing the shield from within. Varathis turned to her, panic creeping into her voice. "No, I must escape." She staggered back, her arms trembling as she tried to reinforce the magic, but it was already too late. With a final, ear-splitting shatter, the shield collapsed, and in an instant, the 3 werewolves were upon her. Varathis had no time to scream. The chamber erupted into pure primal destruction. Claws slashed, fangs tore, and the sorceress was ripped apart by the very creatures she sought to use. Her blood painted the stone floor, her body no longer recognizable beneath the fury of Lysanor's children. The undead army that once filled the chamber had already collapsed, sinking back into the earth like puppets whose strings had been cut. Stephen Lestat had vanished, leaving no trace of his presence. Silence fell over the battlefield. Then a low, unnatural moan echoed through the chamber, not from this world, but from beyond it. Kraedoth, his rage, his hunger, his fury were sealed once more. His cry reverberated through the veil, but it was distant now. He had been denied his freedom. Isolde took a deep breath and turned to the others. "We are done here?" Back at Lucas and Elara's hideout, the 3 of them sat in exhausted silence. They had won, but only barely. Lucas exhaled, rubbing his sore muscles. "That was too close." Elara nodded, staring into the flames of the fireplace. "We were nearly wiped out. If Lestat hadn't turned, if Isolde hadn't collapsed the shield, we wouldn't be sitting here right now." Evelyn sighed, leaning back in her chair. "We did what we had to do, and we stopped it. That's what matters." Isolde approached Evelyn, her gaze thoughtful. "You fought well, you all did, but there is still much you don't know. The forces at play here, they don't simply vanish." Evelyn frowned. "What do you mean?" Isolde's expression darkened slightly. "Lestat is still out there, and I do not believe his story is finished. I will be watching. If you ever need me, seek me out." She gave Evelyn a final nod before stepping into the shadows, vanishing into the night. The fire, the future, the 3 Lycans, Evelyn, Lucas, and Elara, sat around the fire in their human forms, the weight of the battle still heavy upon them. The flames flickered, casting their faces in a warm glow. Lucas smirked, stretching his arms. "Well, we did it. Not bad for a bunch of mutts, huh?" Elara chuckled. "I feel today we have shown our pack how strong we are, and we did this for him." They all fell silent for a moment, looking towards the sky, knowing exactly who she meant. Miles away, deep in his bunker, Dimitri, the Alpha Prime, lifted his head to the moon. His golden eyes flickered with something unreadable, a sense of pride. He said nothing. He simply watched the sky, knowing his pack had proven their strength. The hunt was over. For now. End.